Thank you for coming. I didn't expect half of you. Crikey. Now, no pressure, no pressure. Okay, let's just so I can get my bearings. Hands up, everybody who is not running a web development business and who is thinking of starting. That's two who are thinking of starting, and a few people who are not running a business at all and not thinking of... Okay, those who are not running a business and not wanting to start. Okay, all right, a few. Okay, hands up those who are running a business but have been doing it for less than a year. Okay, so all the rest of you have been running your businesses for more than a year. Okay, of you guys, how many of you have more than two people, or no, sorry, more than one person, two people or more in your business? Okay, well, I don't know what you're doing here. But I can only assume that you already know everything you want to know about Sobi Pro, so... All right. Okay, well, this, I'm afraid, is a terrible, boring PowerPoint because it's all, it's all words, it's all concepts, it's all, advice and guidance type of thing. Yeah, and I would like to dress it up with photos of kittens and stuff like that, but it doesn't actually make the point. So, yeah. Anybody who gets PowerPoint paralysis and who wants to leave early, you have my permission. Anytime you want. And I've got a lot of material, too much as usual, way too much. So I'll try and keep up a conversation with you if I can, because I want to answer questions more than lecture. I have been doing this for a while, so I hope I have something useful to say. But I'm going to be looking for cues to move me on if I'm not telling you the kinds of things that you want to hear, or if I'm not saying anything that's useful. Okay, so this is me. I actually have a psychology degree. I don't have a degree in computing. I got into computing by accident, more or less. Started in 1979, been working with consulting companies since '85. Been through a whole bunch of corporate roles, management roles, team management, projects, that type of thing. Went independent in 1994, and I've run a lot of projects, many of them single-handed. This is where I am right now. No boss, 100% business based on free open source products. And this applies to my wife as well. Okay, she's not in IT. She's a psychologist in private practice, but we're both in this particular state. We work from home or we work from overseas, and I've supported my customers from India, from France, from Italy, places like that. The kids' educations are paid out, they've all moved on. We own our house, we have no debt. I'm not the richest guy you'll ever meet. I'm not the richest guy in this room, I know that for a fact. But that's my definition of success. So that's why I say successful web development business. So, and that's where I'm coming from. Okay. To begin with, would you really want to do this? Because not everybody does. I think what it really comes down to is your tolerance for risk, your tolerance for uncertainty, and really the amount that you've got at stake. Okay, because you've got a family and you've got kids and you've got a mortgage, you've got bills coming every month, you have a much lower tolerance for risk. I think really to run your own business, you need to care more about freedom than security. And not everybody does, because it's a pretty scary thing. Being responsible for your own fate for the rest of your life. I mean, not just this year, not just giving it a go and, seeing what happens, but you make the decision to live on your own terms, then you're making that decision effectively for life, because it either works or it doesn't. There's a very high failure rate for businesses, and there can be very serious consequences, personal as well as financial. The number one cause of failure in small businesses is bad management. I mean, this is common knowledge. And the number two cause of failure is undercapitalisation. In other words, you just couldn't afford to hang on long enough for it to work. And there's a basic decision in web development. Do you want to be a freelancer or do you want to operate a business? Okay, the choice is, are you happy working on your own? Are you happy being self-reliant? And you've got a certain amount of resistance to being responsible for other people, or do you want to hire other people? Do you prefer to manage a team of people who do the actual work, or do you actually want to do the work, in which case you have a resistance to hiring people? Okay, because it's not the work you want to do. You want to do the work, you don't want to do the management. Okay, so that's a decision to make. Okay, which type of business that you would be in web development, if you're going to be in it at all. Okay, to run a business, I think it goes without saying, you have to have business development skills and management skills. And you either need them to start with as a result of previous work experience, or you have to be committed to developing them. Because that's what makes a difference. Okay, it's not how good you are at Joomla or PHP or infrastructure or administration or anything else. What makes the difference is getting customers and making them happy and getting them to tell other people that they're happy. That's what matters. Okay, so to begin with, you have to do market research. These are basic areas, okay, that you would be looking at. The business that I'm in now, I spent 10 years setting this up. And I would say that about 4 of those years I was involved in research. At the time, I was working in other positions. I mean, when I say the business I'm in now, it's what I'm doing now, e-business, web development, across the LAMP stack, the open source stack, and the strategy and the set of products that I've set up. I started working on this in 2000. Okay, and it was really 2004 before I thought that I was ready to, to actually get involved with it on a practical basis. So there's a lot of research, and the field keeps changing every day too. So you need a strategy. There's a lot of web developers in the world, and a lot of them are in Asian countries, emerging economies. They'll work for rates that we simply can't live on. Okay, so in one way or another, I think a successful web developer needs to be able to say, I do this. This is the thing I do, and I do it really well. I want you to know that I do this. Okay, I'm looking for businesses that want me to do this, and basically not a hell of a lot else. Okay. But this is where I'm good, and this is where I can make a living. Okay, as opposed to a lot of other developers who just say, well, I build websites. Okay? Now, my particular area, if you go to my website, you will see it. I do integration and I do application development on websites. I don't build websites as such. I look for websites where I can build applications that implement business processes. Okay, and I look for mid-tier businesses, mid-range businesses, not small businesses. So that's where I focus. Okay, but everybody's got their own focus. Some people are going to be the very best WordPress developers in Melbourne. Some people are going to be the very best Soapy Pro developers in Melbourne. Okay, some people are going to specialise in those areas. Okay, some people specialise in the fashion industry or in retail or advertising or media or something like that. But focus is the thing. Focus is the thing that marks people out. In business, you need a bunch of support services. Am I going too slow? Am I covering areas that you're happy to hear about? Okie dokie. Because I don't want to run over time. Well, not too far over time at any rate, okay? And I don't want you all to go to sleep. And you'll find this presentation, I did a presentation yesterday, put up a demo website. This presentation is also on that demo website, so you can download it for yourselves if you like. It'll be published on SlideShare anyway. You can't do everything yourself, so you need people to support you in a business. And these people should be independent. They shouldn't be your brother or your cousin or something like that, because those people really, they tell you what they think you want to hear. Okay? You're not actually paying them, so they don't tell you what you need to hear. Okay? So you need an accountant of some sort, even if it's only to give you advice. I do my own company returns, I do my own tax returns, I do my own BAS statements and all that stuff, but I've been doing it for years, so I don't need those guys anymore. But in the first instance, I did. You need access to a lawyer or a legal resource, and what I mean by that is you need documents such as contracts and agreements and so forth. You need a library of documents that you can use, that you can give to customers, get them to sign, and those documents need to be able to be defended, potentially defended in a court of law, because sooner or later there'll be a dispute. Okay? So a legal resource, not necessarily a lawyer, but there's 2 or 3 sites online now. I think there's one called Legal Online that I use, where you can get good documents, and they have automated processes where you can, don't quote me on that, I think I got the name wrong, but if you want to contact me after this, I can provide names of actual resources. You can go to these sites, pick a particular type of document, pay maybe $99, go through, customise it with your own phraseology, your own names, pick this clause, okay, drop that clause, that type of thing, and then finish up with a perfectly usable legal document that covers most of the requirements. Okay, that's a good way to work, and much cheaper than getting a lawyer to customise every document. Small business support services. The state government has a site called Business Victoria, which is a very good resource for small business development, small business support. I know some of the guys who run that site, and they are serious. They're dedicated people. Advisors. One of the most helpful things that you can have in business, I believe, is connections to a number of small business owners, not necessarily in your area of business, and preferably not. Local traders, the local hardware store. Okay, a guy who runs an engineering company down the road, or a guy who's got a drafting company, or a small builder or something like that. People who who share your pain, okay, and can talk to you in terms of business issues rather than getting bogged down in the technical stuff. Because we over concentrate on the technical issue. We're in web development. We care about Joomla, we care about PHP and so forth, and we put too much time into that, and we don't think enough about how the business is actually working. Is it healthy? Are the processes good? Are my customers being looked after? Are there any warning signs that I should be looking for? Sorry, was that? Not a question? Okay. And then technical resources to complement your skills. You may be a great designer, okay, but 10% of the jobs that you work on, you might need a developer to back you up. So you just want to know somebody that you can call. Okay? You might not want to do the photography and the creative stuff yourself, so know 2 or 3 people who do different types of work for different types of clients. Okay, to set up. This is the process of setting up, essentially. First, you choose a safe and smart business name, and to do that, research your name through the ASIC company search. Okay, find out who's using that business name, whether it's as a registered company or as a trading name. Pick something smart. Don't pick eBay Victoria. Don't pick the obvious things that are going to get you into trouble. There's all sorts of schools of thought about this, a lot of personal preference. Register the business name. It doesn't have to be a registered company. In fact, in the early days, it's better not, as far as I'm concerned. Decide what sort of a business structure you want. Really, the only decision to make is, do you intend to hire people in the first year? If you do, then you might as well bite the bullet and register a company. If you don't, then you might as well set up as a sole trader or a single director company if you feel like you need a company structure. The only difference between a company structure and a sole trader is the legal protection. Okay? A company structure has theoretically some protection from creditors, in that creditors cannot go you for your personal property. Okay? They can only go the company for the company's resources. There is a price for that. Okay? But that's effectively the only discriminator. I've looked at this over a period of years, and in terms of the tax benefits of having a company, basically they're non-existent. If there is a difference, it's maybe on the order of 3 to 5%, something like that. It's not worth the costs of actually supporting the company. But that's my view, okay? And I'm quite happy for somebody like Shane to disagree with me. Whatever you do, don't get into a partnership structure, I mean. Don't do that. You will be sorry. And especially with relatives and friends. Okay? Because that'll cost you not only money, not only misery, but that'll cost your relatives and friends as well. And register with the ATO. I suggest that you register for an ABN and you register for GST to start with, even though you only have to register for GST if you're turning over more than $50,000 a year. It's just simpler to do it in the first... Sorry? 75 now. Okay, I'm out of date.
As a sole trader, can you register for GST?
Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can.
One of the arguments that people use for registering for GST is that if you don't, then your business might look too small for someone to take you on. But I think that's a personal choice. I don't register for GST. So it's just simpler for me, my business model. But that's just something I wanted to contribute.
The first statement you made was correct. Okay? If you don't deal with GST on a normal basis, then most of the larger companies that you deal with will have a reservation with you about that. Okay? But more particularly, okay, GST is basically just part of the financial process. It doesn't cost you anything. Okay? It just means that when you invoice out, you add 10% and you remit that back to the tax office on whatever schedule is comfortable. It really isn't that big a deal. But the main thing is that it regulates your business. Okay? It makes your business smooth. You can deal with any kind of customer without having issues about that because everybody knows what to expect. But again, it is a matter of choice.
There's the one thing without here is that if you don't register the GST and you invoice the client, obviously you can't invoice them including GST.
Mm.
A lot of clients, if you don't invoice them with GST, they're going to come back to you and say, I can't pay this unless I have GST on the invoice.
Correct.
But if you're not registered for GST, they can't see you in the system, and so you won't get your invoice.
Correct.
That's not true. What actually happens with the ATO, the person who's taking it has to withhold 48 or 50% as a withholding.
Yeah.
Still pays
But it's
Yeah.
only like that 48 or 50% of it if you not have an ABN or TFN number on the invoice.
Yeah.
But if you have an ABN number, then you are like they can search your business identity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your website.
Yeah. I'm aware of all of that. Okay. I'm aware that there are provisions that you do. You do in reality. You have the choice. Okay. But I just suggest that it's simpler to do it and get it over with.
I just come across the instance where prior to registering for GST, I had a client who could not pay me. Their system would not accept the invoice unless I go to the GST because I had to register.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you opted for a company structure, then you need an ACN as well, but you get that with your company registration. These are the bits and pieces that you need to operate a business. The usual stuff. Okay. Intellectual property risks. That's really, it's. Think about it. If you think that if your business is set up to sell a product, and the licensing, for instance, that you're going to use for your product is such that the investment that you've got in your product development is such that you really need to protect your intellectual property, that there is some serious risk of that being stolen. In most cases, it's not worth the effort. Okay, because even if you are developing a product, first off, what's the realistic risk of it being stolen? What is the risk to your profit? Who's the potential thieves? Because basically in Asian markets you can't protect your copyright, you can't protect your intellectual property anyway, and there's not a hell of a lot you can do about it. I don't really know. That's an area that I tend not to get involved with because I tend to do professional services, and intellectual property isn't a big issue. I think product-oriented companies. You got anything to say about this, Shane?
No, I just really anything you get in any grey areas, straight back to get legal advice from a local area.
Yeah.
You really should. It's the lack of knowledge and ignorance is no way out or no disclaimer in any way, shape or form. So get some real advice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's mainly the cost of defending your intellectual property if you need to be able to do it. Okay, because depending upon the size of the loss, I have been involved in legal processes on one occasion with a customer, and it was me taking the action, not him. I found that it just wasn't worth the effort. Just wasn't. Okay, there was a 5-figure sum involved. And I won that action, but it wasn't worth it because the lawyer kept the proceeds, and I reckon 90% of the time that's what happens. Okay, and you need some operating funds, depending upon your business planning horizon. How am I doing? What sort of timing? 2:30, is it? 3:30. I'm going slow. Okay, I'll try and pick up. You'll get most of your business from your existing network or from the network that you build as you go into business. I suggest that you use a CRM, because a CRM is really a good discipline for managing the sales process and for progressing, casual inquiries through to a serious requirement that then results in a contract or a project or an assignment. A CRM is a very good discipline to do that. I've always made it a rule to budget a minimum 10% of my time every week to business development. And here I am doing it right now. Okay, so this is the kind of thing that means. You got to have a professional attitude to your business. Okay, even though you may be the only employee. There is always drudgery, there's always tedium in a business. I think it's best to do the unpleasant and boring task. I think it's best to put them on your calendar, once a week or, an hour a day or whatever it is, and just do that. Just do it when the calendar says so and get it over with. Because otherwise it'll be there waiting for you in 2 or 3 weeks, and all of a sudden it'll be urgent. Okay, and you'll have to drop interesting work, you'll have to drop paid work, you'll have to take a loss in order to cope with that. That little 4-section grid, urgent versus important, it's a useful tool to use on a daily basis to figure out, how to spend your time, where to put your time. Cash flow is king. Okay? For any business, profitability is the state of grace. I can't repeat that often enough. These are the things that I think make a business successful. And you see that there's absolutely nothing on there about how good your websites look. Okay? Sorry? Well, you can download. You can download the presentation.
Thank you.
But feel free. Okay. I'll talk more about the collaborative and consultative approach. Which that's really the way to do business. And here we are. Okay. There's this old saying, clients don't want drills. A guy who walks into a hardware store and asks for a drill does not want a drill. He wants a hole somewhere, preferably many of them. Okay, so this is something that I keep checking myself on several times a day. I'll look at what I'm producing, I'll look at the results, not on the effort, not on the knowledge that I put into that. Okay, and I think in the IT industry we tend to fall prey to that one all the time. We think, I know all this stuff, I've put all this stuff in time into learning PHP, JavaScript, I'm good at jQuery, I know CSS3. So that's worth something. No, it isn't. Okay, what is worth money is what is the value that the client attaches to the work that you do and to the result that you produce for them. Okay, and even at that, not all of the result that they get is actually the product that you deliver. Some of it is the service, some of it is the guidance, some of it is the support, some of them is, making them feel confident about using it, or making them feel confident about a new process, or helping them with a difficult employee, okay, or giving them some advice about some of their partners who are involved with a website, or some complaints that they've had about it. All of that stuff, okay, that's the product, not the website. Okay. And don't build websites. Okay, the approach to take, I believe, is to work with your customers to produce IT services that solve their problems or grow their business. It's not about websites. Okay, so if people ask you what you do, it's not building websites. Okay, it's actually solving people's problems of a particular type. Okay, I'm going to move along. Being a good and successful business person, I think that you know, if your philosophy is that your delivery is to help people solve their business problems, okay, to improve their business, to grow their business, then I think in order to have credibility and in order to have competence, okay, you actually need to be good at the business yourself. But that's something that comes over time. Business processes, these are basic business processes. Okay, things that need to happen in a business in order for it to run smoothly. Time recording and billing, daily accounting. That means every bill you get, put it in the system. Make sure it's not sitting on your desk at the end of the day. And time recording and billing is critical. Now, I had a case a few years ago. I had a developer on my team who was doing a job on an e-commerce site. He was struggling, he was young, and he didn't want to own up to it. He didn't want to tell me, okay, because he figured if he just put in the extra effort, okay, if he just worked overtime, if he just pushed through to 2 o'clock in the morning, okay, then he'd crack it. And I kept on asking him, and my practice is to look at actual hours on a daily basis and to require those hours to be posted on a daily basis. After 3 weeks, I dragged him into the office with the professional services manager and I said, where are we with this? What's left in it? Okay, and he finally said, I can't do it. Now that was 3 weeks down the drain. We couldn't charge the customer for that because he hadn't produced a result and we were over the estimate on the job and we had no defence. Okay, so you simply can't afford that. You can't afford to do that in your own business. Okay, if you're charging your own time, you can't afford for one of your employees or contractors to do that. It's not just the loss, it's not the financial loss. It damages your confidence, it damages your credibility. And those kinds of things, those kinds of negative events, they have a way of being told. They have a way of spreading around. Most important relationship in a business is your family. Okay? You cannot put so much into your business, no matter how much trouble it's in. Okay, you cannot work 14 hours a day for 3 weeks and not see your family and not look after your kids, okay, and put up with a wife who doesn't talk to you anymore. You cannot do that. Okay? If it comes to a choice, leave the business alone for a week. Business partners, staff, contractors, freelancers, advisors. I think advisors are very important these days because the business environment is actually quite complex. Okay, so it really does help to have advisors and a network. I mean, people who are independent business people and who are suffering the same kinds of headaches that you are. Okay, selling your services. Well, in our business, it's about marketing. And I think it really does start with your purpose. Okay, what it is that you really want to achieve for customers. And I think really it takes a long time to figure out what that is. And if you start from a position of, I build websites, and they're really pretty websites, and they're Joomla websites, well, that's not a purpose. Okay, because the question is, what good does that do for anybody? Why build a website? Build it because, because that restaurant's going to get more clients. Are they? Why are they going to get more clients? Because the site is pretty? No. Okay, they're going to get more clients because the site attracts clients and because it makes a clear offer to those clients. Okay, and whatever the psychology is behind that. Okay, but there needs to be a purpose. And following from that purpose, falling out of it, is the pitch that you make. which is, there's a number of components or ways to look at that. A position statement, possibly a slogan, possibly a unique selling proposition if that term is still in use. Okay, and again, I mean that this all flows through. Once you've figured out what your purpose is, what you want to achieve for your clients, okay, and you can make a clear and understandable statement to clients about what you want to achieve, then the rest of the stuff flows through. This is my focus, this is where I specialise, these types of industries, this type of range in terms of turnover and headcount, what sorts of operations they do, you know, are they product-based businesses, are they service-based businesses? Yes?
I've heard a lot about this idea of specialisation, and it all makes sense, but I'm curious, I mean, from a personal perspective, how did you come to yours? I mean, you specified mid-range businesses, this particular aspect of it that you do. Is that personal interest? Was that fate that took you there? What was
No, it's a combination. For me, it was a combination of circumstances and personal direction that emerged over time. Okay, so for about 25 years, the thing that interested me about systems was their interfaces, the integration in systems. You work for enterprise customers, they're going to have half a dozen mission-critical systems. They got finance, they got sales, they got production, they got human resources, okay? They got sales and marketing, they got those things. Okay, and what I saw time and time again was that companies would buy a system that did accounting very well, okay, that maybe did sales and distribution and, you know, the logistics stuff, the transport, that did that very well, but then they'd buy some piece of crap for production, for manufacturing. Not necessarily a piece of crap, but it was just different. And they bought it because the production company liked it, because it was the best of breed, but it wasn't talking to anything else. Okay, so I didn't just get called in on those kinds of problems, I started to volunteer for them. Because I saw that over time, you know, over the space of a couple of years, you know, when you look at where the IT budget, the budget for IT support went in those companies, I saw that more than 50% of it was being spent on work to integrate systems that were not built to integrate in the first place. So I became a specialist in integration. So you look at my website, there's a stack of products there. Okay, you'll find a little graphic that says down the bottom, here's the CMSs that I deal with. And right beside them, there's the e-commerce systems that I deal with. And right beside that, there's the CRMs, which is only one. And then up on top of that, there's a bunch of ERP systems. There's only one that's named, but I deal with 4 of them. And then on top of that, there's an EAI system, which, you know, can do integration with all other corporate systems and all extended partners in the supply chain. Now I know that I can integrate every one of those systems, okay, to its partners. Joomla versus Virtumart, or Joomla versus OpenCart, okay, or Drupal versus Drupal Commerce. Okay. I know that works, and I know that I can integrate those to vTiger. I know that I can make those work with OFBiz or Front Accounting or one of those ERP systems that I worked on. Why do I know that? Because they all fit into a LAMP stack, which it's an Apache stack. Okay, that's my strategy. So all the stuff that fits in that stack all lives in the Apache family. Okay, so I can make it all work. There's either existing interfaces, or I know that, you know, I've done enough work to know that I can fit them together. So that's my strategy.
I guess that still leaves me a little curious for someone perhaps starting out or earlier in the business. I mean, it came through your experience to understand that all we might have on hand is kind of market research, which is always, you know, a little kind of fluffy at best. To understand, well, in the beginning, I mean, it's a world of specialisation. So if we're wanting to specialise from the start, I mean, how do we think to...
Russell covered that. He spent 4 years developing it. That was his research before it even started.
So, that's what you're saying, so 4 years of
4 years of actual research before he started specialising in
And then make your best
Yeah. Yeah. For each of those products, yeah, that's right. For each of those products in those boxes, okay, in each of those boxes, CMSs and e-commerce and CRMs, I've evaluated 20 different systems, and not just how well they function and the level of service that they provide, the availability of resources to support them, okay, and their ease of use for customers, not just that, but for how well they integrate between each other, the technical standards they use, the availability of third-party support for those interfaces. Okay, so yes, that took years. Okay, now how do you do it? I don't know your background. I don't know what you like. I don't know what really turns you on. I don't even know if you're a designer or a developer. I don't know. Okay, but you start somewhere with what you like, okay, and you peel away the onion, okay, get down to the heart of it and then see who are the customers who want this service. Which specifically, you should be able to describe your customers. Okay, mine work in product-based businesses because I like tangible products. Okay, manufacturing, distribution, logistics, engineering, project-based, capital-intensive industries. I like that sort of smokestack stuff. I'm an old guy, I'm old-fashioned. And I like professional services. What I don't like, okay, is finance, insurance, real estate. Okay, I don't do any work. I don't take work for those industries, even though they pay more than anybody else. Okay, I don't do work for telcos. I don't do work for energy or utilities. That's just me. Okay, but that's deciding where you want to be. Okay. Okay. That's just a shopping list of things in a marketing plan. You will be wanting to market your services through various different channels. Okay? There's a set of free channels, and free meaning all they cost you to market through these channels is your own effort. But then again, lots of effort. The more effort you put in the marketing, the more results you get. On the right-hand side is channels where you pay something. Okay? Generally speaking, it can be quite a small amount. I work with a local networking group. It's a business networking group. It's not the BNI, it's one of the alternatives. But that's been very useful to me, and one of the things that networking group pushes is joint marketing efforts and co-branding efforts. Okay, so in the group there's a printer and there's a couple of marketing consultants, and they do online marketing. Okay, so what joint marketing means is that I can approach those marketing consultants and say, I'll give a free day's worth of development work or development consulting or requirements assessment or whatever. I offer that, and you can offer that to your clients. So they go and see their clients and say, we've got a special on this month. Okay, we've got a guy who does web application development for businesses, and you can have him for a day for nothing, just because we know you. And then I do the same for them. And that's very powerful because it multiplies the message you're sending out. How are we?
5 minutes over time.
Okay. Then 5, okay, obviously I'm just blathering on. But I will leave it at that. I'll make one more point. Okay, selling. You have to be able to sell. You need selling skills. We have a natural resistance to that because a lot of IT people are introverted in the first place. Okay, but you just got to get over it. Okay, so that's an area where there needs to be a fair amount of effort. Thank you for your patience. I hope you got something out of it.